Yeah, right here, this is part two of my How to Understand Math series. Now, for this part, I'm going to talk about how the effective methods will actually work to become better at mathematics. So, honestly, to first off start it off, if you ever want to be able to remember, I know people might simply say, well if I write down on a piece of paper and I practice every single time, how the heck am I going to remember exactly to memorize every type of technique and have it develop, every single type of technique over a period of time, and have it develop as I learn more, and just in general as I'm able to better grasp the concept. I'm better able to understand it as I practice more. I might say, "Oh, I never thought of that. Now I'm starting to understand it more. I get it. I get it. I get it." Okay. And I think that's a good thing. Okay, because once you understand the concept, it's more likely at that point, automatically, once you remember the concept, which you've probably developed quite a bit through your head. It's a certain method. It's not just a bunch of calculations. The more likely you'll be able to remember it automatically in a situation, like you do it this sort of way or that way. um which I think would honestly make sense. Which would make perfect sense, because because it just remembers it. And to solve that issue, to make it more easily be able to remember, look at it this way, okay? When you understand math, look at it this way, when you understand it, you have to realize there's many different categories of math, like it's not just multiple. Like you might say, oh yeah, this is multiplication, subtraction, addition, division, and all that sort of stuff to remember each style. But honestly, if you're in a public situation, like who knows what might happen, like you might get a job and you have to remember these sorts of things, and you try to remember what exactly um I'm looking for. It's more than that. Remember, maybe think about science, okay? And once you can remember the name of what exactly you're trying to do, of the method, all of the information might ring back to you. Like honestly, this is just a matter of common sense, okay? Like let's just say I studied aerodynamics, okay? It's a subject I was always interested in or whatnot, or maybe even not. I was just, and I studied aerodynamics. I took a course in it in school, and now when you mentioned the name that, oh, that the only job available is to be like a pilot or something, in this particular area, and I'm supposed to be uh aeronautics, and I'm studying aeronautics. um when I think of it, it's when I bring up that name, it's more likely that I'll remember all of the lessons that I've learned. I'll remember, for aerodynamics, like, oh my gosh, you do it this way, you do it that way, you do the calculations that way. Once you bring up the name, it's more likely that you'll remember it. Um, to be honest with you, it's just common sense. It is common sense. You'll remember it. You remember all the times, especially if you've been doing it for weeks and for months of just constant studying of it. And of course, if you studied it a lot and you learn every single day, by thinking smart, by rewriting and all that sort of stuff, it's more likely that you'll remember exactly what you're looking for. What you'll remember exactly what you're trying to do. You'll remember all of the sort of things that you were taught for it. It's just common sense, or just for anything else. One thing is for certain: it will improve the chances that you will be likely to remember it. And honestly, looking at the end goal of it, for how to understand math, what its purpose will be is once you understand the calculations, the exact calculations, surprisingly, I think it might actually be a lot of fun. Because, for example, let's say that you're trying to fix a car, okay? Well, not trying to fix a car, but you're trying to help design. Maybe your work, you got a job working for Bugatti or something, and now you're helping to design the car. Okay, if I'm working for Bugatti, okay, and let's just say I'm one of the I'm one of the young people who's been hired to help set it up. If I remember all of the calculations um in my head more easily without having to use a calculator, because a calculator just makes it too easy. This is not no snobbish sort of stuff about trying to brag, oh yeah, I did it without a calculator. No, this is just real life. This is real life, man. Like sometimes, like, honestly, the calculator makes it just too easy. Um and I think, honestly, once you remember the calculations automatically in your head, who knows, maybe you might even be able to memorize it. I think that when you work for something like that, you might design a part of it. You might think to yourself, from your study of engineering, that it's kind of best, for maybe, and just in general your mathematical skills, it's kind of best for it to be in this direction, okay? It's best for it to be, like, for this part it's supposed to be this direction. You do the calculation for this, okay? You might simply say, the amount of fuel it needs for this part, it's 500, and it's also 273 as well. And you might simply say, 500 and 273. You don't really know, I don't know what it is, but you might be able to calculate it. Okay, it's 500 times 273 for this part. Okay, that's the amount of oil I have to put into it. And you might also think, for this part, okay, I do it this specific way. Okay, and you just try to put the concept together. Okay, and I feel that once you start having a better mathematical knowledge, um, when you do your job, you might even contribute somehow, even to the future, even for the future, because as you develop your mathematical skills, like, I know this is about a car and there's many different forms of mathematics, but I would say it applies to everything. Once you can understand the calculations and all that sort of stuff, you can then possibly start using it for real materials, if you're using it. Remember safety all the time. Using it for real materials, and trying to, through the calculation, just trying to be creative. And through your calculations, if you might get an idea, maybe you should set up the car this way, or just in general, for any idea as a whole, you just simply think it's kind of a good idea for it to be set up this way. You can automatically remember it in your head, and it would be a lot easier. You would just remember it more easily. So, in general, that's simply the truth about it. I do believe that's what's necessary to make car to make car I mean to understand mathematics. And once you understand mathematics, you can understand the concept and memorize the concept. And once you learn more, develop it, who knows what you might be able to accomplish. You might become a master mathematician or something. And this is just a more effective method, because they didn't teach us this in school. And that's what you need to learn. You need to learn that if you want to be good at anything, you have to work smart, not hard. Because working smart is still difficult, but at the same time, it requires less brain. It requires a lot of brain power when you think. But at the same time, in the results, the quality is still it's still a lot of hard work, and at the same time the quality comes out a lot better, you know, and you don't have to worry about giving up and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's my video, and that's all I have to say. And if you want to see any more of my videos, just remember to be updated. Just like and subscribe to my channel later.